What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Lava Land Podcast. It is your host, Ryan Motter, and join with me, as always, we have the man Jay Brand, and we have the man Sava Lava. If you guys enjoy the content today, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to stay tuned for future uploads. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. This week, we got something new for y'all. We're going to be starting a new little segment where we're going to be doing Beer of the Week. We're going to be doing a little taste test. We're going to be giving our opinions on it, our thoughts. So without further ado, we're going to let Jay Brand go ahead and start us off.
Today we have a German Wernesgrüner. It is a Pils Legend, brewing tradition since 1436, sitting in a Lava Labs Astro Bowl koozie. And so we'll give you the first taste.
Ooh, that was nice. Okay.
Dude, I like to smell it first. Kind of smells a little bitter.
All right, let me go ahead and get mine cracked here.
It's okay.
Not too bad.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
Let me go ahead and crack her open.
It's kind of like yeah, that was a chunky. It's kind of like a German Bud Light.
Very German.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really like much of a beer person anyway, but it's definitely not like gross.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
4.9%.
Not
pretty
too bad.
good.
For the beer heads out there. But you know what goes good with beer?
What's that?
Football.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hell yeah,
You know
brother.
what I mean? A lot of football things went down recently.
Oh, yeah,
The
man.
draft.
The draft. Let's talk about that. So, for those of you that don't know, and Sava, you may not really know because I know you don't really tune
I'm not
into
much
it.
of a sports person. It's okay though.
So, there's an NFL player who is like deemed as like a legend, right?
Mm-hmm.
His name is Shedeur Sanders. You've probably heard of him, I would think.
I've heard the name. Yeah, I've
Okay.
definitely heard the name.
So he was one of the greatest defensive backs to ever play in the NFL, and he won Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys. Well, his son, he's a coach now, or he is a coach for Colorado, and his son was one of his players, Shedeur Sanders, and he was the quarterback for the team. And he was good, and he was projected to be a first-round draft pick.
Oh wow.
But he did not get drafted until the 5th round. There was like
Damn.
4 or 5 other quarterbacks that were drafted before him. But guess who drafted him?
Who?
The Cleveland Browns.
Wow.
So Shedeur's coming to Cleveland. What's interesting about that is Cleveland's already got Joe Flacco. They technically still have Deshaun Watson on their bench and payroll.
Happy ending.
They've got Joe Flacco, and this year they signed Kenny Pickett. And then in the draft, on top of drafting Shedeur Sanders, they also drafted Oregon's quarterback, Dylan Gabriel. So they've got 5 quarterbacks in their quarterback room right now. Before the season starts, they're going to have to cut probably 2 of them. I mean, I don't see any other way around that. And Deshaun, I don't know if they can cut him because he's got this guaranteed contract, but eventually they're going to have to find a way to get rid of him. I mean, I still think to this day that was the dumbest thing Cleveland has done in my lifetime, other than maybe the Johnny Manziel thing. But if you don't know, what happened was Cleveland had Baker Mayfield, right? He was their quarterback. And Cleveland had been shit for years, right? They hadn't been to the playoff in over a decade. You know, this quarterback comes in, Baker Mayfield, and he takes Cleveland to their first playoff win. And what do they do after that? They bring on a guy who had 26 women come out against him for doing inappropriate things. And I still don't understand why they would basically kick Baker to the curb, a guy who just took you to the playoffs for the first time in years. And you something had to have been going on where maybe Baker was like getting under somebody's skin in like the front office of the Browns room, because it just doesn't make sense why you would do that.
I think The interesting thing for me is this is just a classic Browns move because they've been through more quarterbacks, more coaches than like any team has, like at a level that's like hilarious.
Yeah.
There's the Browns quarterback song. Like you can pull it up on YouTube. You don't have to. But it's like, it literally is this song this guy wrote about the last like 26 years, how they've had like 28 quarterbacks or something.
Wow.
And none of them have really panned out. I mean, like he said, Baker Mayfield did decent, but I mean, I don't know. The two they just got, I don't really think that's going to take them to the next level. I think they're just people around Cleveland, and a lot of Browns fans say there's like a curse, you know, like the Cleveland curse, and it's like just not being a fan of them and watching them from the outside looking in. Like, it's kind of probably something to
Possibly
that. Something
true,
weird
right.
happened where they put that on like Indian Burial Ground, the stadium or something.
Well,
and
what's
it's
weird
like,
too is before
they
the
just fall.
so the Super Bowl has only been around for like 58 years or something, right? They're like on the 54th or something Super Bowl. But before the Super Bowl was around, because the NFL, like the football league, was around before that, they didn't used to have a Super Bowl trophy.
Yeah.
And when that was like the case, the Browns were dominant.
Yeah.
You know, Jim Brown, like they had dominant teams back then, and then ever since, it's like they
Long
can't
time.
do shit.
Yep, long time ago. I was happy because, like, as a Ohio State fan, they got like 14 players drafted, and then I think 3 went free agent afterwards. So I mean, they out of 21 starters, they sent 17 of them to the NFL, which is pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
When you think about it. Like that's like a whole squad.
But if any team's going to do it, it's going to be the team that won a national championship that year, you know? So
That's pretty typical.
yeah.
I was really happy because I'm a Steelers fan. So to see him get Will Howard, which we needed a quarterback, and to get I think it was Jack Sawyer. They got Jack Sawyer and
They
Will
got
Howard.
somebody, I thought, in the first round. It was like a Hamlin or something.
They got a
like,
dude from Oregon. Was the
oh,
very
that
first
was the
pick.
guy. And
Yeah.
that was the guy whose mom passed away like right after he got drafted.
Literally,
that was
like,
crazy.
So
That's a sad story.
Saw this guy got drafted in the first round by the Steelers, like a high-end pick, like pick 20 or 21.
Mm-hmm.
And like the morning after getting drafted, his mom passed.
Wow.
And I think she was like struggling with her health. So it
She
wasn't
was.
like a shock,
Yeah,
you know
she
what I
was.
mean? But it was still like when he was getting drafted, he was talking about like, I did all this for my mom. Like I love her and
now she's gone.
she's all I got. And
My dad was saying he thinks that she was like holding on to make sure that he got drafted because at that point she know like, okay, my son's going to be okay.
she wanted to see
You know what I
it. She
mean?
wanted
Right.
him to have that moment.
That's sad, dude.
Yeah, it's
It is
sad.
sad.
But it's also kind of happy because she at least did get to see that.
True. Yeah.
He got to share that moment with her before she passed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't see a whole lot of surprises. I wasn't shocked Shedeur fell. I thought he fell a little bit more than what I thought he would.
I think
go.
going
I
to the
didn't think
fifth
he
round
a
was
first-round pick.
surprising. I didn't think necessarily he was a first round pick, especially in the fact that unfortunately, this draft was a unfortunate draft to be a quarterback because a lot of teams in the NFL don't really need a quarterback right now. So with that being said, I mean, the only other one I would say though that was like a definite, I would say, didn't surprise me that went above Shedeur was the kid from Alabama. Just because he's playing for Bama. You know what I mean? Like Bama typically with Saban when Saban was there, they were, you know, dominant. Now Saban's retired, but I have a feeling that that's not going to be long before they're up in the top again, before they can start being a top team. I'm not saying they're going to like be better than the Buckeyes, but I'm saying like it's not going to be long before they're a powerhouse team again, and they probably always will be.
I think the one thing is like it's a very like deep draft now because you have a lot of players that are getting paid to stay at colleges, and so they're developing their body and their game further. So the draft probably has a lot less surprises now because coaches have had so much more time to evaluate.
Right.
And then you have the extended playoff to where you can see them against like real competition more often now. So it's kind of no surprise the way the draft went this year for me. It was really kind of like how the end was going to go more than like how the beginning was going to go. And it's usually, I feel like, the other way around where all the drama is in the beginning.
For sure. At least that's the part that, like, because there's levels to being a football fan, right? There's those people that are like super dedicated. There's people that really only watch like the playoffs. There's people that will watch the regular season. So some of those people, they'll watch the first round, or the first or second round of the draft, and then after that, they tune out. Because of the rest of it you can catch on your phone.
Did you hear about the prank call to Shedeur?
No.
Mm-mm.
So I guess the Falcons owner, they didn't draft him, but their son, I can't remember how old he was, prank called him. I was like, we're going to draft you and all that. So he got all excited, and then it was just like a troll.
That's fucked up.
Yep.
What?
And
Dude, if I was
came
him,
out and gave him an apology and all that, but it was literally
if I was him,
Cardinals' son.
I honestly now kind of hope that if Shedeur does somehow land a starting spot with the Browns and they play the Falcons, I hope that they fucking kick their ass.
Yeah.
Like, he just goes out there and says like, fuck y'all, and just demolishes.
I mean, maybe the Browns will play 6 quarterbacks. Who knows? He'll be one of them. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows the way the wind blows? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the draft, though, in the nutshell. I mean, there really wasn't anything crazy. The one thing I did
drafted, Emeka Egbuka, he got drafted to the Tampa.
He was a first-rounder.
Yep, to the Buccaneers.
I would say if there was anything probably for me I was surprised of, and granted, there's a little bias being a Ohio State fan, is I was shocked the center didn't get drafted.
Oh, yeah.
Granted, he had like an Achilles tear or something, so that's serious, but it's like, to win the Remington Award, be on a national championship team,
right,
be considered the best of your position and not get drafted.
That's fucked.
But I mean, I think that worked out for the Bengals because they're going to get a steal with him
as a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, that's dope.
But I think that's that in a nutshell.
Plus, the Bengals need that. They need work on their line. Like they need protection for Burrow because that was one thing about like. He was getting sacked a lot, but last year, even though that the Bengals didn't really do very good as far as their record goes, he was like the top quarterback as far as like touchdown passes go, and Jamar Chase was the top receiving touchdown catcher. So
he was that dope. I do think High State's going to be that team again.
I hope so.
I think that was my next point with the football is I think Ohio State. They have a real quarterback competition. I do think that's realer than people will give credit to it. But I do think, though, Ohio State's skill position, talent, and offensive line is probably as good or better in certain ways than it was last year. And when that offense started rolling, I mean, they just boat race teams to where it was like a floodgate hitting them.
I mean, that's saying something because, National Champs 2024, you know what I'm saying?
So last year, this season, I guess it was, I'm thankful I got to go see one of those games, and we got to go to the Purdue game, me and my dad did, and they blew them out of the fucking water, dude.
I went to the Tennessee playoff game.
I didn't go this year, but I went last year with my brother.
It's a huge stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Big old concrete everywhere. It's pretty cool. They've upgraded it a lot. Used to kind of be, I wouldn't say crap because it has this huge historical factor, but for a while they were kind of behind.
Yeah.
They didn't have like Wi-Fi and all kinds of stuff, and it was hard to use your phone there.
Damn, really?
The bathrooms weren't as accessible, and they put a lot of money, which they should because they're making that money.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the interesting thing for me is I think it'll be like how's the defense adjust because they lost the most. Still, like you still have Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith, so realistically, you're coming into this season like pretty unarguably that we have the best offensive player in Jeremiah Smith and the best defensive player in Caleb Downs. So it's like that's a pretty good start.
Yep.
If you have the two best from each side of the ball, you're probably going to win a lot, and you're probably going to have some type of bread and butter you can go to that works.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You got like that Michael Jordan type guy on each side to where it's like all else fails, we're going to like run through this guy.
I think one thing that could help us this year, because we didn't really see a whole lot of them last year, is like a solid DB that can get up and get some interceptions,
Yeah, more turnovers.
For sure.
And that goes hand in hand with if they start racking out these turnovers, an offense like that's going to get more chances to score. And again, you'll get boat raced. I think this will be one of those teams where they'll struggle with teams early on in the first few games, and then they'll find their groove, and then it'll it'll be one of those where even if a game seems close, you'll look up at the scoreboard and be like, how are we down 21 all of a sudden? You know what I mean? Like,
Speaking
we were
of
right
that,
there.
With that being said about their schedule, we have to give props that they probably had the toughest schedule of any team last year and demolished. And this year, their schedule's not. They're starting out right away with competition.
Yep,
So
Texas.
they're playing Texas, and I don't know if you know this, Sava, but Texas's quarterback this year is going to be Arch Manning, which is a Manning.
Mm-hmm.
So
Peyton's
it's not going to be easy pickings. So
yeah, I think they'll get Texas. I think it'll be one of those like classic matchups where it'll end up being like 27-21.
They're gonna put a candle up to the Manning.
Yeah, they'll put a candle to the man.
Hell yeah.
I didn't think he was that great. I think he's like one of those classic deals where when your last name is one of the most popular names in football,
You got high expectations.
yeah, like LeBron's kids, where it's like,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
be real, his son should have never even been on the
Right.
Lakers. That was
Right.
just strictly because his last name was LeBron.
what do you mean, James?
Yeah, James. LeBron James.
LeBron James.
Introducing Bronny LeBron.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the one thing I think people glance over is the season was so much longer last year for college that like a lot of these younger guys had to play real roles for game or 2, 3, 4, and the guys that are inserting themselves into the positions of like vacancy with all the draft picks, they're like juniors and seniors. So the only reason they weren't playing was because there was all these draft picks in front of them.
Right,
so I
right.
mean, they could be dogs too.
Right.
And I think it's just there's the unknown factor that certain people are probably looking into right now, but I think they're primed and ready to roll. They reloaded.
Oh yeah.
As they say, they didn't rebuild by any means. They just loaded the gun back up and are aiming.
Oh yeah.
So, oh yeah. Sponge me, boy. Oh my God.
And too, Ryan Day really needed that because
Oh yeah.
if it wasn't for that, his job definitely would have been in question.
He'd have been on
and-
some hot water.
for sure.
Vibe would be totally different right now. I mean,
Definitely.
they're basically not recruiting; they're selecting kids. They're going
Right.
to the portal and being like, "We want that guy," and they get him. And there's a classic saying then that just when you have problems, winning solves everything.
Yep.
Everything works out when you're all winning.
Yeah.
Nobody really sweats anything small when everything's all high fives and handshakes.
And when you're a winning program like that, it's easier to get recruits because people want to come play there.
You want to be with a winner.
right.
What was going on? You were telling me something about that. It was like Jack Doherty.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, Jack Doherty is this YouTuber that is like,
Oh my God.
everybody
bro.
like hates this dude, right? So this motherfucker was out in I think it was California, right? He's like out in the streets wearing like a $300,000 chain, and he's like boasting it, and like he's on his live and shit. Somebody pulled up and robbed
Snatched
him, bro.
it.
Yeah, they robbed his chain and shit. And he had to call the cops and shit. And I'm like, dude, like if you're widely hated and you're going out like flaunting your wealth and shit, like you're just asking for trouble at that
I think that's
point,
funny, bro. He deserves it.
And then Johnny Somali, which we've talked a little bit about this guy before. Johnny's the one that went over to Japan and was doing all this stupid shit and got kicked out of the country and then decided to go over to South Korea and is now doing stupid shit and is now facing up to like 20 to 40 years in South Korean prison and is still doing stupid shit, dude. He's still like live streaming himself getting drunk, going out in public.
Who is this?
Johnny Somali. He's this streamer. He's been banned from YouTube. He's been banned now from basically every platform. He's got like one platform left that he's still able to stream on, and I forget what it's called. But this dude's basically trying to like continue to get donations and shit. But now the only people that watch him are people that hate him and that are like trying to like find out where he's at. He can't go out in public without people trying to fight him and shit. It's like, dude.
You better be able to scrap if your name's Johnny Tsunami, bro. I'm gonna keep it real.
Somali.
Oh.
Johnny Tsunami.
Hey, well,
Johnny Tsunami. Johnny
Somalian's
Bravo.
pretty tough too, so you better be able to scrap either way.
That's right.
Fact check
Yeah.
correction.
They got pirates over there, bro. Ain't no joke.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yo ho, thieves and beggars, hoist the colors high.
Wow.
Thieves and beggars, never shall we die.
That is from Pirates of the
That was pretty
Caribbean.
fire right there, bro. Everybody.
Yo ho.
I was just listening. I wasn't even part
Yeah,
of it.
he was participating. You was here.
I was hearing it.
Yeah. That's total segue. Like, we got to say a little something about Pirates of the Caribbean if we're going to sing that.
For sure.
When they sing that pirate song and it's the little kid and they're all going to the gallows, that's like
that shit's deep.
huge moment.
It like you feel it in your heart.
That's
bro.
like when you first had to see that in the series, you were like, you knew it was pivotal and you were like, they're starting a movie out with this, bro. Like, they came out.
That's the third one.
I haven't seen them in a long time. I'll have to go back and watch them.
The third one. That's the
That
one.
one's that's from the third one.
The third one. Yep.
He's the best pirate I've ever seen. So it would seem. He's so upset. Do you think that he
When he
makes
first
this all up, or does he has it all planned out?
Right.
And he like drops that whole ship.
The first time that he comes across Sparrow, he says something to Jack. He's like, "You are like by far the worst pirate I've ever heard of." And Jack Sparrow goes, "But you have heard of me."
Like, they go to a Tortuga and like the prostitutes start walking up to him and they all start smacking him in the face, and he's like, "I deserve that and that and that." And then the one chick walks up smacking him, he's like, "Not quite sure why like it was that," because then he like Abigail and got her name wrong and then gets smacked again and then gets the name wrong again and gets smacked, and it was like he was wild, bro. He was savage. Like, he just glanced over that. He had all these women of the night and literally was like famous for surviving on this island and just survived because he had a bunch of hidden rum.
Yep. And he
getting
ended
lit.
up fleeing apparently with sea turtles and hair. He basically like tied, like used it as like a like a reins on the sea turtles. That's how he claimed that he got off the island.
The sea turtle.
He's a sea turtles, mate.
I think they're making another one finally. And it might have Johnny
With him
Depp.
in there?
Yeah, I think like they finally made an agreement maybe.
Damn.
Because they did him dirty with that Amber Heard thing. Like,
I
they
know.
dropped him because of an allegation and the truth wasn't even out yet. So pretty messed up.
And now look who's got the last laugh.
That Amber turd.
She made his bed, but he ain't got to sleep in it though.
That's
He
true.
ain't got to sleep in it though. Stinky.
Wait, what was that?
He is. Amber, there's a stinky in my bed.
What has happened here?
Someone's dropped a log off.
Must have been the dog.
Must have took the Browns to the Super Bowl.
Wow. That's
When
yucky.
When you get that toilet like splash with bloop.
Yeah, it's like boop. It's like the
Oh, yeah. That's like the little dingleberries. The droppers. The Hershey's Kiss.
Not the droppers, mate.
So how about those video game price increases?
Oh my gosh, dude. So let's talk about
Robbery.
this. So basically what happened was the Nintendo Switch announced that they're coming out with the Nintendo Switch 2, right? Which is coming out sometime, I think, this year. And the new games that are coming out for it, they announced they're going to be releasing at $80 a pop.
That's
A
crazy.
couple of days after they did that, Microsoft came out and announced that they are going to be charging the same thing for their games now. And on top of that,
Paradolia.
it was announced that GTA 6 has been delayed.
I heard about that.
Not
Till
coming out
2026.
Until May 26th of 2026.
Those
So we got to wait a
motherfuckers.
year now.
And they're gonna make
for
us
that
pay
shit.
over $100 for it.
Probably, yeah.
That's fucked up.
Oh my god.
Oh, Rockstar, you're fucking me. You're fucking me, wallet boy.
No spit, nothing at all.
Money.
I mean, at some point, it's all going to change where it's like something wild where you're paying like $100 a year to subscribe to a game.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Like, because Assassin's Creed talked about it, like introducing this thing called the Syndicate.
Like some online
thing?
thing?
They have like so many installments of Assassin's Creed.
They have a thing like that
Yeah.
where you can buy. It's like all the games in one, but you pay like $100 but you get access to like all the like Assassin's.
But they were
games.
talking like in the future they have a goal of like expanding that to where like
It's
like,
a subscription.
You don't subscribe to Game Pass, you subscribe to like Ubisoft Plus, and you
shit.
get everything that they make. And to
Damn.
where it's like instead of it being more about like buying a game, you're like subscribing to a developer.
Which the bright side of something like that is that some of those games like Assassin's Creed, which I love the Assassin's Creed games, some of the newer ones I didn't play much of Valhalla, and I have not tried the new Samurai one yet. I just haven't been able to get it yet. But those games are classic, but once you beat them, you're not really going back and replaying them. So to have it as like a subscription, you get to try it out and, play through it. And then once you beat it, you're done with it, basically.
Right.
And you didn't have to just spend $60, $80 now at this point on this game. You could spend $10 a month to, play it and get through it. Because it's a game that you're not like getting much replay value out of.
Yeah, I mean, I get like that whole aspect of it. My thing is like we're in an era where like ownership of things aren't as important anymore.
Well, and a lot of that has got to do with people buy a lot of their games now online, like through the game stores and stuff, like the Xbox store or PlayStation store. So when you do that, you don't actually own it. You just have the rights to use it.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like this digital
at
era.
any point, like they could just rip it from the store. You know what I mean? If they decide that they don't want to like keep paying for it to be on there, they could just like decide they're done with it, and then it's like at that point, unless you already paid for it, you can't get it again. You know what I mean?
Now,
So
if
they
you
could,
exactly like if you like delete it from your console, you won't be
then
able
you
to
wouldn't be able to
reinstall
get
it.
it, right?
Dub.
Which because
What?
of storage, because of like storage space being so minuscule on some of these devices and the grand scheme that people nowadays, gamers at least,
I
have
didn't know
so
we were
many
hubbing.
games that like they typically only have like 5 or 6 active games downloaded while they're playing them, and then they got to delete it when they want to download something else.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? So like that's why people do that type of shit. And that's where you could get fucked in that sense is like because of your storage being a certain amount. Like you only have like a 500 gig Xbox and Call of Duty's taking up 150 of those gigabytes, then
Oh, Ubisoft, you're going to fuck me.
He was waiting for that.
Stupid.
hey, at least they're
ADHD.
Ubisoft, bro. At least they're Ubisoft.
Yeah,
bro.
it's true. Yeah, you ain't going to be soft after they're done with you guys.
At least it ain't
Or
Microsoft.
no,
though.
you will
I mean,
be
wait.
soft afterward. You start out hard. And
Flaccid.
then you be soft. Yeah.
Damn.
Banned.
For life.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Bethesda.
I hit the wrong one.
Tell Costco they ain't getting paid.
Never. Because I don't shop at Costco. Buddy.
So the beer of the week's not bad. Like it
So-
kind of muddles down a bit after you've been
Yeah.
drinking it. Like the flavor doesn't enhance. But let's see if we're gonna give it Signet coins. Out of 5 Signet coins, what would you give it?
I think I'm gonna give this 3 Signet coins.
Really?
Maybe 2.5 actually. 2.5.
2.5 Signet coins.
Cause like it's good. It can be like an everyday kind of beer. But I've had better. You know what I mean?
Dollar?
I've definitely had better, but I will say this because I know that my ancestry does have some German in it. I feel it speaking to the inner German ancestral in me, and
Da.
I think I've got to give it a 3.5. Scheheisen on the Wurstgeisen.
So we got a 2.5 Signet coins from you
Yep.
and a 3.5 Signet coins. I do really like the can. I think that's like an under looked thing. with beers,
Yeah.
like how cool the can looks. I do like this color scheme on it with the gold and everything. Although for me, I'm gonna give it a 1.75.
Wow.
Signet coins, yeah.
Wow.
So I feel like for me, anything well above like 2.5 and up is like a really good.
It's got to be
beer.
good.
Something that I would be like, oh yeah, I want that. This
Well,
is
then
definitely
I revoke it to a 3.
3. I'm one of those. I like to be a little bit. If it's out of 5, I like to be a little bit more strict. Like,
See,
you really got to earn that like upper 4s. And
True.
So with
threes.
me, I don't really drink that much, and like this is something that I can like finish and maybe have another one. You know what I'm saying?
The price was good. So I mean, all around good beer, I would say, is my final verdict. But
And a decent
1
size
point-
compared to a regular can.
I guess 1.75 is harsh. I'm gonna go 1.9.
1.9.
1.9
Signet coins.
Yeah,
Signet coins are valuable too. So
it's
like,
kind of. I'd say that's like average. You know,
Yeah.
for me, like an average beer. Better than Bud Light or something like that. You know what I mean? It's got a little more flavor, but
yeah.
not something where I'd be like, give me a Werner Scottisgruden. Give me some. Give me Werner Scottisgruden with the umlauts.
What that reminds me
With the
of
umlauts.
is if you guys haven't seen this movie, you guys need to watch it. It is called Beer Fest.
Oh, that's a
And
killer.
it's a
movie.
drinking movie where they go to Germany and they have like a drink off.
I think I have seen that.
It's a pretty good movie.
Don't they like go into like some secret place?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it's
like,
a
do some
secret-
crazy shit.
Well, it's like
Wolfhausen.
It's like Wolfhausen. They have it's like a secret like area where like all these people are at for this like world drinking competition.
Yeah.
There's people from all over the country.
I
there.
remember that shit.
I like how he had to find his way back to the place where they had the drinking tournament, but he did it when he was faded. So they got him like super faded, and that was like
Yeah.
how he learned how to get back. And they get to the door, and they're like, "What's the password?" And he's just like, "Yole, yole, yole."
That was last week's password.
He's like faded. That's a great movie though. My favorite part is there's a character called Landfill, which is Officer Farva from Super Troopers.
Troopers.
If you've ever seen that
He's
one.
also
been a long time.
he's also the fire chief in Tacoma
Yeah,
FD.
that's a good one.
And for those of you that remember the movie Sky High, the superhero movie
Yeah.
where they're in the school, he's Ron Wilson, bus driver. You know
Ron
the
Wilson,
bus
bus
driver?
driver. No.
And that you don't remember that in the movie?
You know about the bus driver, Jordan?
In that movie, Sky High?
I didn't know we were on a bus. No. But anyways, in Shit. What was the movie we were talking about before that?
Beer Fest.
Beer Fest. So his character is called Landfill, and he's like this big dude, and he's like able to chug a bunch of beer. His character passes away, and then his identical brother shows up, which is him, still like is the same
And they
character.
call him Landfill.
And he's like, "Can you guys just call me like Landfill too, and like just treat me like I didn't die?" Because it's like this sad moment in the movie, and then basically his character shows back up again, like as his brother. And then he's like banging his wife or something like that, and the wife is like, "Oh yeah, Landfill 2.0 or something like that."
That's crazy, dude.
The grandma's like a whore.
Yeah.
She comes downstairs and is like, "You want me to warm up some sausage for you boys?" And she starts grabbing like a fucking bratwurst and warms it up with her hands and starts smacking it. And they all start looking at him. And he's like, "What? Bavarians have been warming sausages like that for years." And he's like, "All I'm saying is that whole gam being a whore thing might be a possibility."
Might be a possibility.
And he's like, "What's wrong with whores? That's all my best friends," or something like that. Because he was on the street for a while.
Oh yeah, the one dude, the Indian guy, yeah.
He's like, $5 for an HJ, $10 for a BJ, and $15 for a ZJ. The one guy's like, "What's a ZJ?" And he's like, "If you don't know what it is, you can't afford it." And he's like, "I got $10." Like, what does he mean?
I got $10.
You don't know what it is, you can't afford it.
Jeez.
And he couldn't.
True.
It's just one of those like weird comedy moments.
Well, shit.
We do have a new segment coming up here.
Ooh.
The blindfold
Whoa.
taste test.
Oh, okay. Thought it was gonna be something else.
What the fuck? So we got us some blindfold taste tests going on here. Gonna put these two gentlemen to the test on some off-brand, name brand
So I have
tests.
I have like a personal thing where I think that the name brand, you can tell typically most things, not everything, but there's like Doritos, for example. I would say, what's another good example? Like Goldfish, like, you know, like there's the off-brand like whales and shit. Don't taste the same. Like you can tell the difference, but it's not
I'm
like,
basically a dog and everything. I can just tell the difference.
I just mean like it tastes different in a sense that it's not wrong to get them. It's just like you can tell the difference.
I didn't know you could tell the difference.
I'm just trying to figure out how different it really is, dude. I mean, how different is it?
We also have some candies amongst the off-brand, on-brand.
Now that's going to be
challenge.
hard.
So it's basically just you're going to kind of take a shot in the dark of what you're eating on that, fellas. It's going to be real candies, but you're just not going to know anything, and we're just going to kind of give you points based on, like, maybe I'll tell you what kind of candy. I'll be like, this one's going to be a candy bar. Then you can kind of break that down, and I'll be like, this one's going to be like a hard candy.
Okay.
Since you'll be blindfolded, too, so you just don't start, like, chomping a whatever it may be.
Right.
Break my tooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Dolly got some teeth. And,
Be like, yeah, chomp on this, dog. And it's like a blow pop.
Chomp on this, dog.
Come a tooth pop.
All right, well, y'all stay tuned for that. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. I'll be in that
Appreciate
whole
y'all.
bitch.
Hey, real quick though, if you guys haven't already, make sure that you go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe. Just stay tuned for those future uploads. And if you haven't checked out the previous episodes, go show them some love too. We appreciate y'all. Peace.